We can tell Doris and Pearl that we're doing Hawaii time for them now. Right? Yeah, we start. When we start. Well, I have some really wonderful news for you today. Do you know that the same power and presence that put the galaxies into their spin, the same power that causes that out of a little seed of nothingness to grow into a beautiful baby who grows into a child, who grows into an adult, that same power works through us, and it helps us to turn hatred into love and judgment into compassion. And so with that, we will sing our theme song. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. And now Susan will read our announcements and daily word.
Okay. Our word for today is expansiveness. I expand my vision to see unlimited possibilities. I see beyond the parameters I have accepted in the past to behold a world of unlimited possibilities. As my vision expands, I create space for more good, more love, more giving, more opportunities, and more spiritual understanding. Intellectually, I know my spirit is unlimited. As I study and practice spiritual principles, my awareness of the Christ within me expands as well. I accept and express more of my divine nature. I embrace my full potential as I navigate through life. I realize greater clarity of purpose and new ways to contribute my gifts to bless others. I am open and receptive as I journey along the path Jesus showed was possible for us all. From Genesis 13, verses 14 and 15, raise your eyes now and look from the place where you are. For all the land that you see, I will give to you. Our affirmation again, I expand my vision to see unlimited possibilities.
I expand my vision to see unlimited possibilities. I like that a lot.
Announcements. Book club started Thursday, March 28th. Still going on. Meets from 6:30 to 8 p.m. They're reading The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And they have 2 more book club meetings, but they've changed the location. This coming Thursday, we'll meet at the Starbucks in the Barnes & Noble parking lot. The location for the last meeting will be announced next week. If you didn't make it to the first one, please don't let that stop you. It's a great book, and Deanna will catch you up.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Come on in. Bright Star Movie Night. This coming Wednesday, our Bright Star kids will be watching Rise of the Guardians. Meeting at Becky's house here in Redlands at 6:30. They have movie-style theater snacks available. And a lot of them too, huh?
Yeah, way more than they can ever eat.
A Course in Miracles meets every Sunday at 10 a.m. And the May potluck. Mother's Day is May 12th. We usually have the second Sunday of the month. But we'll be moving to celebrate our potluck on the following Sunday, May 19th.
Yes.
There's a sign-up sheet in the back.
Yes. And there is. Thank you all so much for being here today. I appreciate it so much. We're doing something. You know, I've been hearing for years and years how there's a shift happening, but there really is. People are becoming more centered in their hearts, and we're taking part of that right now. We're being a part of that as we remember and tap into that. And so all of you are here on a Sunday morning when we could be sleeping, right? We could. But you know what? We choose to be here because we're growing and expanding that light in us. And we're learning how to shine that out into the world. I'm going to read something that we read in our Course in Miracles this morning that really just, I thought, brought this home about how much God works through us even when we're forgetting and we get afraid because we feel separated. We really feel like we've been kicked out. Like, you know, like a teenager gets kicked out of the house, right? And that's how we feel so much of the time. And this is what the Course says. It's talking about the spark that is inside of us. Okay, the light, put the light inside of each and every one of us, right? In many ways, or in many people, only the spark remains, for the great rays are obscured. Yet God has kept the spark alive so that the rays can never be completely forgotten. If you but see the little spark, you will learn of the greater light. So we just have to see that little spark. For the rays are there unseen. Perceiving the spark will heal, but knowing the light will create. I just thought that was so beautiful. Knowing the light will create. God created us as creators. That's what we're doing all the time. So I called my sermon today, my talk, the Untethering the Soul. And it's inspired by the book, The Untethered Soul. But this has so much information in there. It would take weeks and weeks and weeks to cover it. So I just picked out some of the juicy stuff that affected me a lot. Now, William Shakespeare said, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man." So when we're true to ourselves, we are following the highest calling of our soul. We are doing God's will. When we are true to ourselves, we are letting that light be the great ray. Okay, so we are doing God's will. When we're true to ourselves, then we're transparent. So we're automatically true to everybody else. We don't have to be true to ourselves and then try also to be true to other people. It just automatically happens that way. So how true are we to ourselves? How do we be true to ourselves? Do we keep promises that we make? Do we make commitments and then follow through on them? Do we make decisions that always move us toward the highest, brightest version of ourselves, the self that God is wanting us to express? Or are we not doing any of those things? Now, if we're not always, it's hard to always, be like that. We are these spiritual beings having this human experience. But if we're not at least trying to do it most of the time, then we're not being true to ourselves, and we're making decisions that take us away from that brightest version of ourselves. If we ever make decisions that take us away from that, then we have a mind that is out of control. That's interesting. Our mind is out of control. It's out of control when it's guided by fear, by anxiety, by worry, by frustration, by anger. That feels chaotic to us. Now, when our mind is out of control, we're focusing on the most negative aspects of life. That's all we can see with a mind that's out of control. There is a Buddhist story that goes that the mind is compared to a wild horse. When you ride a wild horse, where do you go? Wherever the horse wants to take you, okay? A mind that's out of control is the double-minded man, like James said in the book of James. A man cannot be double-minded and still be decisive and still be following God's will. Okay, that out-of-control horse is going everywhere. The out-of-control mind is going everywhere. Now, if you train the horse, where does it take you? For our horsewomen in here, where does a trained horse take you?
Where you tell it.
Where you want to go. Right, where you tell it to go. Okay, so when our mind is like a wild horse, our soul is not moving toward the highest, brightest version of ourselves because it's being guided by guilt and fear and worry and anxiety. An untrained mind is not very likely to even give us good advice. We have a mind that's talking to us all the time, right? When I decided to use this book as inspiration for the talk today, my mind, it says, yeah, that's a good idea. Everybody in the book club loves this book. They can't stop talking about it and talking about how it's changing their life. That's a great book. Well, so then I'm working on my sermon, and I'm kind of tired, and I'm looking at this book, and then you know what my mind says? This book is a really hard book to try to make a sermon out of. There's a lot of information. How are you supposed to weed through all of this? There's so much stuff in here. You really think you're going to narrow this down? You think you can really pick something that's the best? Because it's all the best. This was not a very good choice. Then I finished my sermon. I finished arranging it. And my mind says, I knew that was such a good book to pick. Oh. It was like my crazy mind was taking all the credit. Oh, see, our minds are really good about adjusting themselves when they were wrong. Okay, when they're wrong. The mind, we make a wrong decision, and we can justify it and turn it around and make it right. Have you ever been to the movies with somebody, with a friend who says, we really need to see this movie? Because I'm thinking of a friend right now, right? She says, we've got to see this movie. It's a great movie. That's what I hear. You go see the movie. It's not a great movie. And your friend looks at you and says, I don't know why you wanted to see this. Right? Our mind does that to us so often. Now, in this book, he talks about the mind as being something that's actually separate from us. It is not who we are. Who we are is the observer of the mind. Now that always sounded really strange to me until I got into this book. But if you sit real quietly right now and in your head say hello to yourself. Say hello. That's separate from you. We're the part that hears that. Now yell it in your head. Yell it. Yell hello. It's still separate from you. You still heard it. Okay? So I think that's kind of funny. The mind, it's busy talking to us all the time. It's busy narrating our life. Okay? Oh, it's cold outside. Oh, did you see those flowers? Look at all those flowers. That tree is really tall. Boy, that person drives really slow. You know all this stuff already, right? The mind is just chattering on and on about it. I know when I'm getting distracted, my mind will say things like, I'll look out the window. There goes a car. Like, well, I knew that car just drove by. I don't have to tell myself that. I saw it. But it gives me like a half a second of distraction listening to the mind. Can you mind hanging around somebody that did that? Or can you imagine hanging around somebody that did that all the time? Like just narrated everything? It would be crazy, yeah. The untrained mind will take us down a path that makes us feel bad. It's this narrating voice that makes us feel either really good about where we are or really bad about where we are. It makes us feel really good about our past or bad about our past. It makes us feel either good or bad about the future. As an untrained mind, though, most often it's making us feel bad about wherever we have been because it does not see its connection to source. It sees a connection to worry. So it's just like the horse. The wild horse who's running away wherever it wants to go is doing that out of fear. It does not like having somebody on its back. Okay, it hates it. It'll roll itself on the ground to try to get that person off, right? Woof. Now we train our mind, it becomes a source of spiritual growth for us. Okay, we train our mind, and then it will tell us a double-minded man cannot make a decision. It'll remind us of the spiritual truths that we want to hear. So we can grow and keep moving toward the highest, brightest version of ourselves. So how do we train our mind? Well, the first thing we can do is become more aware of who we really are. We have different levels of awareness all the time. Last week I read the book Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I think his last name's Gaiman. But there was a movie based on this book too, but the book was fabulous. I got so into the book, and actually I got it for Macy to read, right? But I'm like, well, just let me read this book real quick. And I did read it quick because I got so into it. My level of awareness was completely gone because I was in the book. I wasn't aware of things happening around me. I was completely in the book. I was so immersed in the book that when I was done reading it, I had a book hangover. Have you ever had one of those? Like you finish a really great book and you close it and you're like, oh, now what do I do with my life? Right? That's how it feels. Okay, so that's a different level of awareness. That's really non-awareness, pretty much. We feel that when we go to the movies too. If it's a really good movie, we get caught up in the movie. We are living in the movie. We forget that we're a spiritual being in a body that was put here by the light, by God, to allow us to channel and express love out into this world. I also have these moments on occasion where I'll be sitting and doing something, and all of a sudden it feels like I was just dropped in here. Okay, like seriously, like I just arrived. And I'm seeing everything for the first time. Yet I know what everything means. I would know everybody, like I read a script before I landed here, right? But it's like, I'll feel like, wow, there's my aunt, and there's my friend Susan. And I would just see everybody. Like I'm seeing you for the first time, but I know you. And that's a really heightened sense of awareness. Okay? I really feel it. God sent me here. God sent me here. God sent us all here. We all have something inside of us that's guiding us to do what God's will is. Now that's a really, really high level of awareness. So here we are every day, and we're somewhere in between those two. We're somewhere in between having the really high level of awareness, remembering God works through us, who we are, we're love, we come from love, we're here to be, do, and live love. Or we're like living in a movie, okay? Or our dramas that are around us, right? We're caught up in the drama, we see the drama, and we don't see our real life that's around us. So when we train our mind, we're training it to remind us that we're that infinite being in a body, and that all of this is just an experience. This is our experience. The second thing we can do after we remind ourselves to have this higher awareness of who we really are is to remember that we have a source of infinite energy within us. Now, Jesus said the kingdom of God is within us. It's within every person. It's in here. I love the story of, I forget which gods did this, but they decided mankind was misusing their powers, and so they hid their connection to God inside of them where they would never look for it. And that's what happens so often. We have this strong, powerful connection to God right inside of us, and yet we're looking out here everywhere for it. Okay, we look outside of us. God's inside of us, always inside of us. And so we have this infinite energy that works through us. We use a lot of energy keeping thoughts away. We are always worrying about something, and so we're using a bunch of energy then to try to stop the thought from coming, or the worry. We'll worry to try to stop a thought, okay? Now, this takes up so much energy, and I got a really clear picture of this with our lab. We have a lab named Buffy, and you know, the kids would take her for walks, and they'd be on like a 20-minute, half-hour walk, and it would give her real good exercise. One time, though, we took her to the park with us, and it was a homeschooling park day kind of thing. There were a lot of kids there, and the kids did run Buffy around for like 20 minutes, a half hour, but we were there for probably 3 hours, and most of the time, I held Buffy's leash, and she just sat with me watching everything. Watching everything. There was not anything that got by this dog. Even when she was laying down, she was like this, looking around. We got home, and you know, that dog crashed for like the next 6 hours, okay? And she got up, had some dinner, and just went back to sleep again, right? She exhausted herself with all the mental effort. When we are worrying about something, we physically exhaust ourselves because we cut off that source of infinite energy into it. We start tapping into the physical energy that the body can hold. And we only have so much of it. That is why people who have a lot of stress, have a lot of worry, they end up burning out. You all heard of the term burnout, right? Well, there's a reason we have that term burnout. They burned off every bit of energy their own body can hold. Okay, so we have all this energy that is inside of us already. We have a source of energy. The kingdom of God is within us. In a way, we have a portal, okay, like a portal, like a Stargate. I used to like that movie. The Stargate, or a portal. There's something right here, though. God works through us. All we have to do is open it up and allow it. Allow it to flow through us, allow it to move through us. All we have to do is just be willing to receive it. Now, we tap into this energy when we're feeling excited and enthusiastic about something. Because usually when we're real excited and enthusiastic and feeling inspired, it means we're in alignment with God's will, we're moving in a great direction, we're expressing this beautiful energy into the world, and we're so tapped into this energy and letting it flow through us so well, we forget about things like we'll forget to eat, we'll forget that we're tired or whatever, because we are busy expressing energy that's from God. We're not tapping into our physical reserves. It is that infinite energy that always works through us. Now, when something happens and it makes us unhappy, we shut that down. And suddenly we're just using our own energy. We start feeling lethargic. We start feeling depressed. There was a few weeks ago, I got a message. I interpreted it as bad news, and I got very lethargic and depressed. Well, later on, I found out it was good news. And instantly I was happy. Now, I didn't do anything different except that I opened myself up and allowed myself to receive the energy again. Okay, that's all I did. I didn't eat anything special or do any special yoga moves, right? I just allowed myself to feel hopeful again. Now, we lose the feeling of having energy because we close our heart. Now, actually, our heart is an energy center for us. And even in Jesus' time, we were always told to protect our heart because out of it came all the worries of life. Okay, because our heart is our center. Okay, it is from here. It's affected when we have bad news, and it's affected when we have good news. It opens, it closes, it opens, it closes. In all the years of energy work I've done on people, I feel it. Anybody can feel energy. I could show any of you how to do it. If you don't know how to feel it already, I could show you how to feel it. And you can feel when somebody's heart energy is closed. Energy cannot cease to be. It cannot go away. All we have to do is be open and receiving. The gate of heaven is open right here. It's like we have an indwelling sun inside of us that shines all the time. But we have to allow it. Just like if we want the sun outside to shine on us, we have to allow it. Okay, we could wrap ourselves in a blanket, we could shut all the windows and doors. We can block the sunlight, but we can't stop it from shining. Okay, we can't stop this, but we can block it and keep ourselves from being able to enjoy it. Now, if we want to keep flowing this infinite energy, then the next thing we need to be able to do is learn to let go of things. Learn to let go. This can be the toughest part because we're telling our mind that something that's bothering us, it has to be okay with it. And usually if something's bothering us, we feel like we have a good reason to be bothered, right? But that can be hard. Now, I know someone who did not become a doctor because the sight of blood bothered them. But we all know doctors who are doctors and blood doesn't bother them, right? There's some people who were really bothered by a spider, okay? In my house, we all know who to call if we need somebody to take care of a spider for us, right? Adam, my big old, Macy, can you come get the spider? And she's been doing it for him for years. Years! When she was a little kid. She's like... Some people can drive down the freeway and get very bothered when a car cuts them off, okay? And there are other people that don't get bothered by this. I don't know how they manage that, but they're not bothered. There's some people who are vegetarian because it bothers them to eat meat, okay, and to know where the meat comes from. There's some people it does not bother them. Some people are bothered by things that don't bother other people. Now, what this means for us is that it's possible for us to decide something doesn't have to bother us. It is possible. Somebody else did it. But see, when we are upset by something, when we're bothered by something, we struggle against it. We spend a lot of energy thinking and thinking and thinking about how we can change this outside thing so we can be comfortable again. We want to make outside things go the way we want them to go. That way, the outside makes us happy. But when we dwell on things that bother us, it's like having a splinter in our finger. Now, I can remember being a little kid. The worst part of having a splinter was knowing my mom would be getting that needle, sticking it in the flame on the stove, and coming in and digging in my finger to get the splinter out, right? That was so horrible until I had to take a splinter out of one of my own kids' fingers for the first time. Of course, I discovered something called draw out salve. That's like a stick black gooey substance that you put it on the splinter. Of course, that doesn't work very good for the metaphor I'm trying to use. So imagine that you have to dig the splinter out with a big needle that's been burned. It does hurt. It does hurt. Sometimes the splinter even breaks apart in your finger, and there's a lot of little pieces that need to come out. Now that's how our problems are. Okay, things that bother us are like the splinter. Either we let the problem go and just pull the splinter out, or we protect the splinter. Okay, we leave it in there. Even when the finger starts turning red, we just wrap more gauze around it. Okay, even when we get a little infection in there and we can't even hardly bend our finger because it hurts, right? We're more afraid of taking the splinter out than we are of having an infected finger. That's how things that bother us sometimes appear in our lives. We're more afraid of just going through the pain of accepting it and letting it go. And so we put all this energy into trying to change everything outside of us to make it better on the outside. Struggling against something means we're trying to defend ourselves. This just means it makes things worse, just like leaving the splinter in. If we're fighting against something, judging it, trying to change it, that's when we become blocked. When we become blocked, we are perceiving the outside world as having control over us. See, the outside world, though, is just the outside world. It does not have, it doesn't have the ability to make us happy or unhappy. It can make us comfortable or uncomfortable. But we make ourselves happy in here. We even saw, this is so cool, there's a church up by the house, the one on Sterling? No, not Sterling, Arden. And it says, things don't make you happy, only thoughts do. Yeah, when we saw that, we're just like, hey, I'm going to be talking about that later. Struggling just makes things harder for us. Letting go helps us to get in the flow of things, so things will smooth out for us. You pull the splinter out, you have a little soreness, you wash it off with cold water and some soap, and the next day you're not even thinking about it anymore, right? We can let things go. We can. We can absolutely let things go. We can decide not to be bothered. Several years ago, many years ago, I had somebody in my life, and something happened, and this person was really bothering me. It really bothered me what happened. We just didn't have our friendship anymore. I was very upset by this, and I couldn't let it go. And then a few years after that, I saw this person, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to let this go. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it go. I am going to just let this go. And I saw them, and they're like, hey, Deanna, how are you? And I was like, oh, well, I'm great. Blah, 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 blah. My wild mind, my wild horse of a mind went crazy. It like was taking me all over the place. And this person's like, good. Yay, you know, it was so nice seeing you, right? And after it was over, I was like, oh my God, that was awful. I was an idiot. What was coming out of my mouth? I don't even know. And then I started thinking, oh, how do I fix this? Maybe I should send an email. Oh, it's like, Deanna, just let it go, right? Just, you can't do anything about it. You'll just end up looking silly. Sillier, okay? Now, it's interesting that a couple years later, I had the opportunity to run into this person again. And I said, no, this time you're really going to let it go. You're going to ask how they are, and then you're going to shut up. You're not going to say a thing. Just smile and nod. So I said, how's it going? And they started talking. My mind would want to go do something. I'm like, no, shut up. Just shut up in there. You're not helping me. I want to let this go. And you know what? I got through the conversation. After it was over with, I felt really good because I just smiled. And I'm like, that's great. Oh, that's great. That's great. Afterwards, this person's like, wow, Deanna, you just seem so peaceful. I was like, wow, I had to really work at that, but I did. I became peaceful. But then I just saw this person as a radiant being, the radiant being that they always were. They always had that spark of God in them. They weren't trying to wreck my life or anything. They're just being their own light. Okay, they're just doing what they're going to do. I let something go. Now, we want to be able to let things go. And so when we want to let things go, we have to remind ourselves that we are the observer. We're the one watching this crazy mind make all the judgments about all the things that are happening. The part that takes command of that is called our will. Okay, it is our will. Now, I am a person, I have to brush my teeth every night before I go to bed. Before we had kids, my husband and I would stay up and late and watch TV, and sometimes I'd fall asleep in front of the TV. I want to get up then and just go straight to bed, because I thought, yeah, if I can just get right in bed, I'll fall right asleep, right? But no, I had to go brush my teeth first, because there was this part of me that was like, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. That was my will, okay, telling me to do something that I knew was right, even though I didn't feel like doing it. Now, we all have had access to that will before, okay, the part of us, the quieter part of us, that takes command. When we're too tired and we have to do something, we make ourselves get up and do it. Okay, even if we're immersed in a book that's taking us away and letting us forget our whole life, okay, we remember we have to stick a letter out in the mailbox or something. We make ourselves get up and do it. Okay, that is our will. It commands the mind. So we want to maintain awareness. Okay, we want to train the mind. We maintain awareness of who we really are. We remember we have this infinite energy that flows through us all the time. And then we choose to let things go. Then all we have to do is monitor how all this is working out for us. And we monitor ourselves by checking our level of inner sensitivity. Now, Michael Singer, who wrote this book, he says inner sensitivity is a symptom of non-well-being. Now, I'm not talking inner sensitivity like, oh, I just saw a butterfly and I just see God and all the butterflies, that's so beautiful. I'm not talking about that kind of sensitivity. I'm talking about, well, I waved and they didn't wave back. Well, what, are they mad? What, are they rude? What, are they mad? Maybe I should go on their Facebook page and look and see if they're talking about me, right? Okay, I'm talking about that kind of sensitivity. When I was a teenager and I was in high school, there was this boy that I liked, and he was talking about using Prel shampoo. He's like, what kind of shampoo do you use? I'm like, well, I use Prel shampoo, right? I guess I really wanted that deep, intimate connection with another person. I don't know why I did that. When I met Dave and I had a lot of musical, our musical taste was really in sync. But there was a band that he really, really liked that I was just kind of like, right? The Scorpions. But he was like, yeah, I really like the Scorpions. I was like, oh, I really like the Scorpions too. Right? Now, I have had friends. I had a girlfriend who got into snowboarding for her boyfriend, and she hated it. She complained about it. She hated going to the snow. She wanted to stay warm, okay? I had a friend who he got into hiking because the girl he was dating loved hiking. He hated hiking. I know a woman who got into NASCAR for her boyfriend. She hated NASCAR. She ended up marrying him, and she's like, he always wants to watch NASCAR. Sorry. And I know a guy who got into chick flicks for his girl, right? But I don't think that was as hard as the NASCAR thing. Why do we create a persona for somebody else? Because we don't have the inner well-being to be comfortable with who we are as we are. We think we need to change ourselves. Now, I obviously did not need to impress Dave with saying I like the Scorpions, because I've liked all kinds of music over the years, and some of it he can't stand. And he's just like, whatever, listen to whatever you want. And he even lets me listen to it in the car, right, even if he doesn't like it. So obviously I didn't have to worry about that. But sometimes we build this whole false persona to keep somebody interested in us, and then they don't even like us, or we're afraid they won't like the real us. And so then we have to put all this energy into keeping the fake person up there, right? Okay, wait, who did I like? What was my favorite band again? What kind of shampoo am I supposed to buy? Okay, this is crazy. We don't have the inner well-being because our psyche is damaged. The psyche is what works through our mind. They're connected, or they're the same thing. Our psyche is damaged because we mistreat it. Sounds crazy, huh? We mistreat our own psyche. What happens with an animal if it gets mistreated? It gets scared. It wants to bark. It wants to growl, right? It's scared. It's reacting out of fear. But think about the job that we have given our psyche. We have given it an incomprehensible responsibility. I'm going to tell you what we tell our psyche has to do to us, or do for us all the time. This is what we've all said. We said to our mind, I want everyone to like me. I don't want anyone to speak badly of me. I want everything I say and do to be acceptable and pleasing to everyone. I don't want anyone to hurt me. I don't want anything to happen that I don't like. And I want everything to happen that I do like. Then you said, now mind, figure out how to make every one of these things a reality, even if you have to think about it day and night. And of course your mind said, I'm on the job. I will work on it constantly, every minute of our life. The mind has to try to make it so that everything you say is said the right way, taken the right way, and has the right effect on everybody. It has to make sure that everything you do is interpreted and seen the right way, and that nobody does anything that hurts you. It has to make sure that you get everything you want and that you don't ever get what you don't want. The mind is constantly trying to give you advice about how to make it all okay. That is why the mind is so active. You gave it an impossible task to do. We gave our mind an impossible task. God gave us a simple one. Just to be, do, live, love. That's all God wants us to do. To be, do, live, love. Now we give our mind something so out of control. If we did that to our body, we would hurt our body. If we told our body, lift this car, we would hurt our back. If we told our body, eat this bag of sand, we would do a lot of damage. Okay, we would hurt our body. Our psyche gets sick too. The symptom of this sickness is the oversensitivity, the worry, the fear, okay? That something out there is going to hurt us. That we have to keep changing the outside world. That's what the psyche thinks, has to change everything. Somebody didn't like what I wore, I better not ever wear that again. Okay, somebody didn't like how my hair smelled, I better change my shampoo. Now our mind is a complex computer. It is a tool. It's a tool that our soul uses while we're in this body. It's meant to ponder questions like, how can I more serve humanity? How can I more be, do, live, love? How can I express myself more? How can I expand love even more? That is what our mind is meant to be pondering. Great questions like that. But instead, we set it at a task that it cannot possibly succeed at. Now, there are billions and billions of people on this planet. If someone does not like the shampoo we use or the music we listen to, can we handle that? That's the question. Can we handle it if somebody doesn't wave back at us when we wave at them? Can we handle that? We can. We can. But we have to learn that it's important for us to come to peace with pain. Because pain, that gives us freedom. Coming to peace with pain gives us freedom. Now, it's the Buddha who said, pain is inevitable, suffering is not. Okay? Pain is the hurt that we feel and then let go. Suffering is the hurt we feel and then hanging on to it, to grow it, to spend a lot of time thinking about it, to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, to try to change the world outside of us, to make our life better. That's the suffering. Pain is being hurt by something and then let it go. We are infinite beings in a body, and these bodies are frail, and our hearts are tender. And so we drop a brick on our foot, it will hurt. Somebody says something mean to us, and it will hurt. It will always be that way. We're not going to escape stubbing our toe, and we're not going to escape having the occasional person not like us. Okay, but when we come to peace with that and learn to just let it go, that is when we have our freedom. We train our psyche to avoid fear and pain, and so that's all it focuses on. Now, remember when you were learning to drive? I don't know if you had to drive around these cones. It's like, don't hit the cone. All you see is the cone, right? Just that's all you see. If we spend our life trying to avoid pain, it's the pain that will run our life. If we keep closing ourselves down, we are just going to get more and more sensitive inside of ourselves. The broken psyche cannot set our soul free. Luckily, we can repair it. We can. When we maintain the awareness that we are the infinite being in a body, when we remember that we have an infinite source of energy, God is unlimited. There's nothing God can't do. There's nothing God cannot handle. There's nothing God cannot make express into this world. We have that energy working through us. Everything that God does for us, God does through us. Okay, so we just remember that. We remember that we can let things go. Somebody somewhere got over something that we want to get over. Okay, somebody else did it, we can do it too. We can let things go. And then we just monitor how sensitive we are inside. Are we feeling oversensitive? Do we get our feelings hurt? Are we hanging on to that? Or can we let it go? When we do that, we have inner well-being. When we have inner well-being, our soul can express and grow. And we are at peace with pain. We don't want the weakest part of ourself running our life. Okay? The weakest part of ourself, out of control, is a tool that we just need to train. And we can train it by remembering those things, by remembering not to have a divided mind. Considering what we ask our mind to do, and you think about how it does handle it, our mind is really quite brilliant. It's very brilliant. It is an elegant tool meant for us to learn to expand ourselves. That's what the mind is. When we're using it out of fear, we're taking this brilliant mind, it puts us in a cage, and then it spends and uses all of its brilliance figuring out how to keep us in the cage. That brilliant mind. We're meant to be free. We're meant to be free. The poet and mystic Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." We are spiritual beings having a human experience, but the human experience is filled with unlimited happiness, unlimited love, unlimited abundance in all areas of our life. But when we tether the soul, okay, when we weigh it down, we greatly limit our experience to that of one that just comes from fear. So until next time, remember, you are a child of a divine, generous, loving, unlimited creator. In everything you do, you are blessed with every beat of your heart, with every breath you take. You are radiating light and love out into the world around you. You do not walk this path alone. Amen.
Amen.
Carol, behind us, do you see the white prayer box? I was wondering if you just pass that on up this way. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Carol's like going, deja vu. All right, so we have some requests in this prayer box right now from people we know, from people we don't know yet, but we're excited to get to know them. Asking for wholeness, healing, awareness, remembering what it is that works through them. So let's just take a moment. Let's just close our eyes, just center ourselves, and let's feel that great inner light that is already within us, a great golden sun radiating right around our heart. And we see this beautiful light just expands. We can imagine that it expands every time we take a breath in. And this beautiful light just grows. We can expand it to be bigger than our bodies. This is the opening to the kingdom of heaven within us. It is always there. And we let this energy flow freely. And we think about the request in our prayer box. And think about those who are in need, who have worries or concerns. And we recognize the spark inside of them. We see wholeness for them. We see love working through them to work for them. We remember who they are and where they come from. And then we think about any of our own worries or concerns. And we put those into the light also. We know that God, being unlimited, already works through us to work for us, to bring to us the awareness, to remind us who we are, where we come from, and that we are here to be, do, live, love. We are light, life, truth, and love. And so it is. Amen. Well, now we'll gather and sing our peace song.